Hey, in this video, I'd like to speak to you about the ultimate solution for overcoming anxiety. So if you struggle with any sort of anxiety disorder, I want to help you understand the root cause of this problem and then give you the ultimate solution. So this topic is kind of very personal to me. This has been my biggest kind of theme that I've had to overcome and work on this journey. I think we all probably have our own major theme. And this kind of anxiety and overthinking and worrying was my theme. Still is a little bit, but as you keep evolving and growing, you just see more about why you had these sort of themes. And now I can see more clearly where anxiety comes from. And I think this is true for most people based upon my own experience and the research I've done. So I want to share this with you so hopefully you can see this for yourself, and then I'll give you the solution. So I'll probably be making more videos on this topic simply because it's personal to me. And I always feel like whatever our life challenges are, whatever we have to overcome, then has to become a part of our message or a part of our story, right? So I want to help people who have had or struggle with anxiety disorders. That means overthinking, like fearful thinking and always being anxious and stressing out and really being caught up in thought, negative thinking. Anything that falls under that anxiety category. So look out for a lot more videos on that topic, on this topic even. So the first thing I would like to talk to you about is what's the root cause of anxiety. So like I said, as you keep growing in consciousness and awareness, you'll really start to become aware of like deeper parts of you, right? Subconscious stuff that you didn't really know how it was functioning and how it was running you. But with awareness comes deeper insight. And this insight has helped me tremendously. The insight is that people with anxiety disorders have an intolerance to uncertainty. Okay? So uncertainty means something that's unpredictable, right? And people who have these disorders, they cannot tolerate uncertainty, right? It feels very, very like scary to them. It feels like they're out of control. And another thing about people with anxiety, they like to have control. So there's these two main themes involved here. One is an intolerance to uncertainty and unpredictability, and the second is control. So the anxious person understands that they don't have control over everything. We just don't. And from that place, it feels uncomfortable to them. So they then will try to control themselves or external situations to create the illusion of certainty. But like I've said, the world we live in is not certain. Nothing about the world is certain. Maybe we can say that we breathe air, okay? There's these very basic things that are certain, but life in of itself is uncertain. That's the nature of the beast. And that's something that anxiety sufferers really struggle to accept. Life is unpredictable. Things are going to happen. You don't have control of everything. Things are out of your control, right? And that can be scary. So understanding that and seeing how that plays out in your own life, I think will help you tremendously. You'll see how maybe you're trying to over control things or maybe protect yourself because you don't trust. It's almost like this feeling of uncertainty is, it's like an allergy. This is something therapists say is this unpredictability and uncertainty, we're almost allergic to it, right? It's so intolerable. But the solution, as you're going to find out, is going to help you become more tolerable. Now, where does this intolerance to uncertainty come from? I think probably genetics may play a role, but mostly conditioning. If you grew up in an environment where it wasn't unpredictable, maybe things could just go bad at the flick of a switch, or maybe you were bullied or whatever, right? This is quite common for a lot of people. We have uncertain experiences when we're very young, right? We don't have as much safety and stability that we need. And if you put on top of that you're sensitive, that makes you like even more kind of anxious and wary. And therefore this pattern of like uncertainty, this fear of uncertainty gets literally programmed into you. Because like I said, when you were a kid, you had to prepare yourself for something that could go wrong. That bully's going to come and get you, or one of your parents are going to get drunk and get angry, or whatever it was. So in order for you to not kind of fall victim to that and feel safe, you've developed this pattern to like always be on guard, be hyper vigilant. And then if anything kicks off, at least you are kind of prepared for it, right? But then what happens is that conditioning that was kind of helping you when you were younger becomes a part of your personality when you're older, right? And so you become super anxious about little things. You cannot tolerate uncertainty. Depending on how far this goes for you, you might be so intolerant of uncertainty, you won't be able to do just basic things like go to the shop. Because even going to the shop, there's a level of uncertainty there. Like, you might run into an armed robber, right? You might get knocked over. I don't know. Like, you see what I mean? Life is uncertain. And people with anxiety disorders on varying degrees cannot tolerate this uncertainty. And like I said, it's not your fault. You probably had experiences that have programmed you to live in this way, and this will form a foundational piece of your ego. So when you see this and get over this, not only will you see how this has been running you in so many different areas of your life, but it's going to change you tremendously. It's actually going to make you a lot more courageous, a lot of a stronger person. Because ultimately, where you'll get to is you'll start to trust. And that takes me on to the solution. The solution to deal with this problem is, first of all, is to become aware of this intolerance to uncertainty that you have. So the next time you feel anxious, the next time that you're worried or afraid, it's probably best you do this in meditation, but try to drop below the thoughts and just try to feel some sense of uncertainty around this situation that you're worried about. I would say it's like an emotion or a feeling or an energy in your body, right? And all you want to do is you want to dial into that feeling of uncertainty, of unpredictability, and your intolerance to it. To begin with, you probably won't be able to stay with it. Your thoughts will keep popping up. Your thoughts will keep projecting you into the future, thinking about something that may or may not ever happen. But over time and with consistency, you just keep practicing this, you'll be able to stay with the feeling, right? You're not the feeling. You're the consciousness that is aware of the feeling. But with practice and with time, you'll begin to tolerate it. You'll be able to be with it. You will expand your tolerance of this uncomfortable emotion. And that's really what's going to lead you out of it. And also it's going to make you more present. This was the number one block and hindrance I had to being more present, was that this fear of uncertainty was always projecting me into future events. The way I was interacting with life, the way I was going about my life, I was always kind of a bit worried and scared how things were going to go. Obviously, everybody has a little bit of that. But the less you kind of worry about the future, the more present you are, right? So this goes hand in hand with being present. The anxious person is not very present. The more anxious you are, the less present you are. Like, the two things are opposite sides of the spectrum. So as you begin to tolerate and build the capacity to be with this feeling of uncertainty and unpredictability, not knowing what's going to happen, you're going to grow in confidence. You're going to grow in courage, right? You're going to connect to your true self. You're going to become more present. And that is where your ultimate power lies. And from there, you'll actually start to trust life, right? It doesn't mean things will never go wrong. But instead of you going about life always thinking the worst thing, the negative thing, you'll either just be neutral, right? Which is probably the fairest way to be neutral. Or you might even be positive sometimes. Expect things to go better. Expect things to go well. right? But worst case, you'll be neutral. But like I said, that should be how it should be, right? Just this neutrality. Not on either side of the spectrum, just neutral. And from that neutrality, you go into each experience fresh. You can embrace the experience. You can enjoy the experience. That's where life is. Life is not uncertainty. I know we think like, I need my life to be certain. I need everything to go the way that I want it to go. But if everything went the way that you want it to go, life would be so boring, right? Everyone would be bored out of their minds. What makes life beautiful is the uncertainty of it. Is the idea that almost anything can happen, right? That's the thrill. And it's a thrill, and you can enjoy the thrill. You can enjoy the ride. But like I said, for some people of anxiety, it just takes a little bit of work to get there. And the world doesn't help us. The world doesn't support us. We're just constantly being bombarded with bad news, what's going wrong, which only works to make things worse, right? Makes us more anxious. Things like the pandemic, right? What were they doing there apart from really making people more scared and more fearful and more worried and like trying to control more? But when you find the peace and the presence of who you truly are, and you build that capacity for uncertainty, you'll stop trying to control everything. You'll just enjoy. You'll learn to enjoy your life, right? And you'll find out the way that it was always meant to be. So that's everything I've got to talk about in a video. Like I said, my plan is to make more videos on this topic. So if this is something that you've personally struggled with or struggle with, then yeah, hit me up in the comments. I'd really kind of like to know other people's experience in relation to this topic. So that's all I've got for this video. Until next time, God bless.